Welcome to your Kin Feedback and Fun Focus video. Okay, Kin, let's begin. So, for those of you who are new to these videos, I basically read off any notes that you would have seen me writing during the workshop, things that I wanted us to acknowledge, appreciate, and amplify. So I'm pretty much going to just read it off in an effort to have us focus on those things. Okay, so here goes. Okay, also keeping in mind that kin are protectors of a certain kind of energy. So just as we shared this morning what your intention was in the space, just feel through your intention now moving through life, coming from the experience that we had today together. What kind of energy are you a guardian of? What kind of energy or message are you sending out into the world consciously? So just feel that through while you listen to the feedback notes. Okay, so the first one we're going to do would be to acknowledge. So the things that we want us to focus on and acknowledge for this morning. Okay, so the energy of loneliness, being alone, solitude, and individuation was spoken about this morning, and likened to the hawk and the sea. And right now, while I'm putting this together, a firefly has just come by, so I will be putting in the bottom of the video, along with other links to other videos that may help. I'll be putting in a link for those totems, so you can read the energy of those animals. And if you can hear my dog in the background, I'll be putting in the dog as well. So on the note of how we have dealt as AndroGenius, those who have found our wisdom in our androgyny, the balance of masculine and feminine within a human being, as it relates to that journey of solitude and individuation and the influence of the collective mind on the individual and the individual on the collective mind. I wanted to point out that individuation is powerful, yes, like we mentioned this morning. But just to reiterate what we were saying, that we want you to know that you deserve intimate partners who are resonating with you where you are at each stage along your life journey. And that resonance is present within your present, past, and future partners. And if you remember to just tune into your own joy of being you, then you can find that. Ultimately, it is worth risking the relationship as it is to allow for that transformation. So feel that through, keep that in mind. Of course, we can speak more about it at a later date, but yeah. On the note of risking the relationship, in the last few of you have come to us speaking about shedding of skin and juggling, having to juggle so much and feeling a level of burnout and just an inevitable transformation that's coming, an inevitable decision that has to be made, unrest, being uneasy, that a high-strung feeling that keeps you focused in a you-centered direction, that you find yourselves fearful of just how much you are about to change. And so each of you expressed to us at different times, and of course some of you this morning, that we don't know how much this was good timing. We don't know how much it was good timing. And we do know how much it was good timing, like we had mentioned, because of what we're going through in ourselves, because of that androgenius connection, that oneness that we tap into, which is why we gave the invitation. And so as a level of comfort, we want to say that when I speak about risking the relationships, it's not to leave jobs or intimate partners or countries or whatever it is you're going through on a personal level. it's not to leave it and to fear the rejection element or the abandonment accusation. People never really leave our lives if we really reflect. They're there somehow. And it's the greatest investment to the relationship in divine economy to allow the relationship to transform naturally. And the whole premise of the invitation was because you are people who we acknowledge who do that and do it lovingly by your own measure, and sort of kind of look back to see, like, did this person understand? Did this person get it? And we get it, and we want to say that others get it, whether or not they're able to articulate that. So we thank you for being able to trust yourselves and enjoy your trust. And if you haven't taken a moment to enjoy certain decisions that you have made or that you feel you're about to make, take that time. You deserve it. Okay, so speaking about where self honor gets lost, we had spoken about it where you were thanking us as facilitators for hosting it this morning, and we wanted to bring the balance to, yes, okay, we can accept the compliments and the gratitude and the thanks that you're giving, in balance with you understanding the purpose and the intention of the invitation, in balance with you understanding your own appreciation and the value of the acceptance of the invitation. So specifically, there was a lot of honoring your mother going on today, and that was very important, of course, in the spaces where it was. But when we spoke about the conflict between the relationship between mother and son, and we spoke about the guilt that mothers face when they realize that they're not able to provide fathering. They're not able to provide a fixed masculine nurturing role to be present for their sons, and having to lean on your intuitive and nurturing style from your own self, and being a victor of the process of teaching your own self, and not a victim of the process of teaching your own self. All of that is very, very important for you to realize. So it's important that you give it to yourselves. Always give it to yourselves. That was the intention. And that's why we itemized small reasons or summary reasons why we appreciated you. Because oftentimes the honor goes out to elders or mothers or other nurturers. And yes, okay, balance. What about self? There is an openness to the nurturing that's being given to you that you have to acknowledge, because someone can be giving you love and adoration and devotion, but if you're not open to it, it's not going to have the effect that it could have. And so we want to acknowledge your openness. Okay, so moving on from acknowledging your openness and acknowledgement in general, moving into appreciation now. So the first one for appreciation that we have is owning the joy of the role that men's spaces have, and appreciating the balance and support men have created for men in a world where certain levels of verbal expression and adoration demonstration is required by many female partners. Basically, women expecting men to express and demonstrate affection and attention and adoration in the same ways. And women being socialized to digest the way that men show their nurturing, and the way men show their intuition differently, as something that is difficult to digest instead of delicious to digest, instead of something to learn and work with and enjoy. It's it's definitely something that goes uncelebrated. So we want to put a highlighter on that and appreciate it. Appreciate you specifically and your role in our AndroGenius balance. Okay, and then point number 2 in the appreciation. Somebody spoke about a guardian or nurturer in early childhood being a disciplinarian for them. And it was said very matter of fact that, this person was a disciplinarian, they were a teacher, so therefore they were a disciplinarian. And then somebody else later spoke about the role that parents play and the role that he plays as a father in ensuring that he takes up the battle of being the kind of nurturer who fills up the child's bucket of self-awareness, self-confidence, etc. Because society is always there at the bottom, pricking little holes in it. But if it's filled up enough, even if some of that water comes down, it's still, the child is still fulfilled, and still knowing that they are fulfilling, and not preparing children for the world by being the harshness of the world in the home, but being the gentleness space, being that sanctuary space where after you face the world, you can come home and express and go into self and recharge for the next day and hone that warrior gentleness and that warrior side and that gentleness, that warrior's gentleness, that wisdom of how to face the world, how to face the internal conflict, and therefore the projection, the external conflict, how to reflect and project effectively and to make the impact that you intend to make. Putting a highlighter on the impact that you intend to make and your measure of your own success, it's important to recognize that you're there for yourself first and most and constantly. So you want to ensure that you are tending to that sanctuary that is yourself, your mind, your heart, your thoughts, your passions, your intention, and your effect in balance by your measure. Okay, and moving into amplification, this would be the last segment. So we wanted to put a focus on the concept of alignment, aligning with your passion and purpose, that life requires us to learn and know and enjoy life, where we are life. So therefore, life requires us to learn and know and enjoy ourselves. And let's have fun learning life. Let's have fun learning ourselves. And let's celebrate the parts of us that are that way, that have already been that way, that create spaces for people in our lives. We create spaces for people in our lives to enjoy themselves that way. And what about the self? And what about the self in individuation, like we spoke at the beginning? But what about the self in community? Where is the iron sharpen iron on a consistent basis? Not just one off. Where is the community of the strongest links? Not coming together just in crisis, but coming together for fun, for acknowledgement, for appreciation, and for amplification, for refining tools and sharing strengths. That's very important. Okay, and also the power of the space that we created. We remind you to carry the space with you, and that the space carries you. The space of the inner and community. It's a space of national trust. This space carries you just as breath carries you. We want to thank you for your messages today. We want to thank you for accepting the invitations, for the reasons that you shared and the reasons that you didn't share. The co-facilitator wants you to remember that she sees your heart. We look forward to women being called by men in similar ways. The masculine holding us in adoration and holding us accountable to our effects on them, and sharing strength so that we can move through in our divine androgyny, in our divine economy, And lastly, we want to put a highlighter on the divine masculine's power of intuition and nurturing to always be that voice of reason when it comes to remembering that things take time. We want to give thanks to you as gentle gardeners, teaching us to genuinely just chill. Thank you so much.